White and black knights with that thin white plank on top at number 6. And a left-handed turn past the service gate, and the Bainbridge Oxer comes up next. That's number 7. Bainbridge combination at 8AB, vertical with the red, white, and blue Mafia rails, and then a left-handed turn around the multicolored island to the Palm Beach Equine Clinic Oxer at 9. Or short strides down to the black vertical at 10, right beside the gazebo, where Judge Kevin Giblin is now with the 8-foot black rails. Turning right from there, the Palm Beach Sports Commission Oxer, that meter 50 Oxer, jumping towards the Tiki Hut with the natural rails and the Liverpool. And then that right-handed turn back up the ring to the palm tree combination, the green palm trees there, triple bar to a vertical at 12AB. And then 7 strides down to the yellow palm tree Oxer at number 13 to complete the first round course. In 16 jumping efforts, numbered 1 through 13. The course measured at 480 meters. Time allowed set at 77 seconds. Taxi Cruz, our course designer for tonight's Arion Sellier Grand Prix. Just about 2 minutes away from the top of the order in tonight's $50,000 competition. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please rise and remove cover for the Star Spangled Banner. Here with us to perform the anthem this evening, Francesca Moore.
Early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you, Francesca Moore, for their edition of the Star Spangled Banner ahead of our 6:30 start this evening with the $50,000 Arion Sellier Grand Prix. Capping off our holiday finale this Saturday evening here at Wellington International. We're going to see 45 of the first round of competition. In 16 efforts over the course of 1 through 13, the track measured at 480 meters, first round time allowed at 77 seconds. Medalist and as our first runner-up in the order this evening is Lindsay Delray of New York with Jovaro in. First to 45 and then with the $50,000 Arion Sellier Grand Prix. Signal Dutch Red by H5 El Hall by Lucia LLC and Lindsay Delray and
Jovaro in. Our first to 45 for round 1. Just the 4 faults at 8B, knocked down a B at the Bainbridge. A double for the USA's Lucy Delorier with Jovaro in. Reference time 74.249. First rider completing within the 77-second time allowed for round 1 of tonight's Arion Grand Prix. Another U.S. rider here at the top of the order. It's Allison Robitaille, based in Middleburg, Virginia. Piloting at Dagny. And the U.S. rider, 5-time World Cup finalist, a Pan Am silver medalist, and tonight piloting a 10-year-old by Durant. Clear round is 76.263 for the USA's Allison Robitaille with Dagny. Clear round coming from our second in the order in tonight's Arion Grand Prix. Reference times is 74.249, 76.263. Both of our 2 riders that have completed there, doing so within the 77-second time allowed for round 1. To Brazil for our next rider, Celso Ariani, finishing with the 2 in the top 8 from last week's Zini Lead Equestrian Center Grand Prix under the lights. This is La India Concha Vida PS. 10-year-old Mecklenburg by Contargos, our third to show. Yeah, 8 for jumping, 1 on the clock for Celso Ariani with La India Concha Vida PS.
Time 77.720. The knockdowns coming at 4B and 11, and 1 penalty on the clock for exceeding the 77-second time allowed. Israel Stephen Blumen receiving the tone now with Cashmere to Praise over the top stables on Lake Ronkonkoma, New York. Combination finished 4th in the 2-star Old Salem Farm Grand Prix back in September of this year. 4th on course. One early clear round coming from Allison Robitaille with Dagny. Wave of the hand there from Stephen Blumen, retiring with cash ready to Braves in tonight's $50,000 Arion.
Continue on, nothing to prove, and he's just going to save him for another day.
Yeah, just Stephen Blumen there choosing to retire.
Early clear coming from Top 10 World Cup finalist Allison Robitaille.
Just one clear so far. Allison Robitaille.
Number one this evening, USA's Caitlin Boyle with Navarre, owned by the Bay Farm at North Salem, New York.
Next in, we welcome Caitlin Boyle aboard Navarre. This is a Leverel gelding by Tonix. Looking at the class before today, Ali, this was one of your picks to definitely want to watch. Going into today's class, they've had many wins together. Very successful season so far this year.
Yeah, I believe so. You know, we saw them taking first place in that $25,000 Devon Fall Classic. That was the National Grand Prix in September. We also saw them taking a first place in that 3-star 145 winning round. This horse actually was also previously seen under Vanessa Hood, so we have seen a little bit around, but Caitlin has really formed a really strong partnership with this horse. They've had a lot of success together. We saw them a lot in Saugerties, placing really top placings. Really fast horse, very fast rider. So if we see them get into the jump off, this is definitely one to kind of watch for that speed. Just toes that Oxer. And we're kind of seeing some rails here and there all over the place. You know, like we always say, a great course designer always has rails scattered throughout the ring, not just in one location. And that's, again, I mean, it's not to be understated that Oxer coming off that turn. It's a very spooky corner. You only have about 2 to 3 strides until your horse actually sees the fence and then also measures the fence. Coming around to the 2 stride, jumps in and out, no problem. We haven't really seen much issue there. And takes the last as well. Or no, just gets away with the rub at the last.
Yeah, just picking up that 4 false there for Caitlin Boyle. So just to still the one clear so far. Allison Robitaille is our one and only clear so far in this class. We have seen 5. Our 6 to go will be Francisco Goyaga aboard Sugarlando PS. This is a 10-year-old stallion by Choco Blue out of Calanda.
We've seen Francisco a lot throughout the summer, spending a lot of time in Traverse City. He has a lot of different horses to ride, a good string, and this is a newer one, I think, that he's added to his string. We've seen a lot with his previous rider, Maya Ines, or the owner, I should say. Maya was 3rd with this horse, also in the $24,000 Welcome Prix. So and she also jumped in some of the young riders this year championships. So we've seen the pair of Maya and this horse, not so much with Francisco.
But Francisco's very good. He can get on many different mounts. He's very good at adapting to the horse, knowing exactly what to do with them. It's definitely a talent of his.
Exactly. And there again, just doesn't get quite away with that 5 stride. I think that's not to be underestimated. Coming off that short turn, a lot of horses land shallow from the Oxer, making you have to ride up in the 5 a little bit. And again, coming in with a lot of pace into a very tight double of verticals is always a scary feeling. And just tags the front rail of that Liverpool Oxer as well. Again, a Liverpool Oxer is coming home. The horses see it's coming home. They see the in-gate. Some of them just lose a little bit of focus. And just finishes up. on the 8.
Yeah, just coming home there on that 8 falls there for Francisco Goyaga in a time of 75.911. But as you said, this top line coming down to that Bainbridge Oxer to the double of verticals, it's quite a flowing distance, so it's just something that people may have to watch out for as the course develops. Next in, we welcome Lynn Cliburn and Louis. This is a 14-year-old gelding by Marchi out of Lantana.
It's always exciting to, especially in some of these pre-circuit classes, we see some fresh faces, some familiar faces, but this is definitely a fresh face this year.
As you said, pre-circuit, this is our last night class before WEC starts.
Yeah, exactly. So very exciting before circuit starts. But again, this is the last time horses and riders get to jump under the lights or get some practice jumping under the lights, especially some newcomers, maybe haven't been in this ring before, haven't seen these types of lights. You know, they have amazing, amazing lights down here where you barely see any shadow down in the sand, which is great for the horses and riders, as a lot of horses tend to spook at shadows. And this horse is just a little bit spooky, a little bit looky at some of these fences. With that light, you know, you do get a glare on some of these very shiny poles. So some of the colors, just like we saw, a little bit hesitation cantering down to that Liverpool vertical. You know, you may not be able to see it from your screen, but there's such a glare on that water shining off of the Liverpool. It's really something to see for the horses. And taking Aya as well, just finding herself a little bit strung out in the 5 strides. But again, just like what we were talking about, you know, getting the horse under the lights really doesn't matter about the rails, just matters about the confidence. You know, can you finish up the course with a horse that's more confident than how you started? And if so, then you'll have a good idea of what you're going to be walking into for circuit.
It's also a nice opportunity for those riders that don't typically jump FEI to get to jump under the lights also.
100%.
So just coming home there with that 8 jumping falls and 3 time falls, giving us a time of 79.044. So still holding up on that one clear so far. Alison Robitaille is our one and only clear so far, with our 7 jumped so far. Next in, we welcome Gonzalo Busca Roca aboard Christiana Oblinski. This is a 9-year-old gelding by Cornet Oblinski.
Yeah, we've seen this pair take 5th in the 3-star Ocala World Equestrian Center Grand Prix in February. So they've definitely had a little bit of experience under their belts. Again, it's very nice to have a few different venues that you can come and go to, experiencing WEC Ocala, and then we also see a lot of those riders also coming here and experiencing all the nightlife here as well. And we kind of are seeing that time allowed isn't a huge factor, but definitely something to be considered. And again, we know a lot of these horse and rider combinations are very used to that, so they're very well aware that they have to keep moving. And then this is a very delicate double. I think we'll see a few options of numbers to that vertical, 6 or 7. I think he did 6 and 7 perhaps. We might see 7s and 8s. It really depends on the type of horse you're riding and where you think you need a balance. I think he saw a few people in the past kind of come in a little hot. He really tried to get momentum coming off the corner into that Oxer to really start to get into the 5, so he didn't have to push at the double of verticals.
And that Oxer coming around that bend is very tight. I don't know if people can see that on the live feed, but it's quite tight coming around that bend to that big Bainbridge Oxer.
Exactly, and it has the Bainbridge plank right underneath it. So there's just a lot to look at for the horse coming off of that turn. He opted for the 8 strides to the Liverpool Oxer. That's also another option, I think, just to keep going for time's sake. And he is right on the time.
Clear jumping there, just picking up the 2 time falls there for Gonzalo Busca Roca. Clear jumping just that 2-time false there, unfortunately. So still just hanging on to that one clear there. Alison Robitaille is still our one and only clear so far.
That just goes to show you, he left out strides in a few places, but I think his horse just spent a lot of time in the air. He knows that. He was really trying to hustle. That was too bad.
Yeah, and then is there some places on the course you think that people can utilize to make up time for the time allowed? Or is it just a case of just keeping the flowing canter, keeping on those strides, trying not to add, and just using, as little space as possible?
Yeah, I think smoothness is going to be the quickest, but 1, 2, 3 I think are really your time savers. Then you have to take a little bit of time depending on your horse through the middle part. I think after that double of verticals, if you can hustle just a little bit to that black oxer, and then rolling back to 12A. So honestly, 1, 2, 3 is your best bet.
Okay. Next in, we welcome Alex Granado aboard El Diablo du Nord. This is a 10-year-old gelding by Durant out of Inga Grill.
Yeah, Alex has been partnered with this horse for about 1.5 years now. We've seen this horse jump up to some 145s. He took third in the 3-star 145 welcome class at Traverse this September. I know he thinks very highly of the horse. It is you watch the horse go around. It does have a unique style of just rideability and jumping style as well, but it is very quick off the ground. He took this horse. Got away with that and came a little bit hot into that double and wasn't quite able to make it out clear out of B. And that's what a lot of Catsy's courses we see are, is just, if you find yourself stuck in one position, it might catch up with you 2 jumps later. Everything seems to all be a little bit connected. Even though you have corners, if you find yourself getting stuck in one corner, it's going to maybe pay for it a few jumps down the road.
And as you said, you have to be careful with those corners, watching that time allowed. That has played a bit of a game so far in this class.
Exactly, and that was too bad. I thought the horse jumped spectacular. He had a great class earlier this week, but second to last fence, actually his rein broke, so he had to retire. So I know he was really excited to kind of come into this class and try to give it a go, and he did.
Yeah, Alex Granado just picking up that 4 jumping falls there. Next in, we welcome Thomas Joffrey aboard a Thursday. This is a 10-year-old stallion by Dyson out of Flying Luz Z.
We've seen this horse actually previously under Victoria Gullickson. This is a newer ride for Tommy. They were 8th in the 4-star Grand Prix this holiday in horses about a month ago. Tommy's such a competitive rider, very smooth rider. A lot of the horses tend to jump quite well for him. He tries not to interfere very much. That was really smooth. 1 to 2. Keep getting a little bit of a neat roll back to 3. A little bit deep, but the horse tried really hard. This is a very upright vertical and a little bit uphill in the 1 stride. Here I think we'll see some options, like he did the 7 there. Horse just looks like it's looking at a lot around it, not so much at the jumps. And again, to be expected for some of these newer horses or horses that really haven't been into this ring as much.
And as we were talking about, we've bright lights here in Wellington International. We also have those white banners around the side of the ring that give a bit of a glare off the light, so it's definitely something the horses are looking at as they go around the course.
Exactly. And Tommy was actually very smart there. You know, he found a really deep distance off the oxer going into the line for the double of verticals. He opted for the 6 strides. I think some riders might be watching that and deciding that might be the best choice for them, so they don't really have to sacrifice the strong ride across the oxer to get into the 5. Holds for the last, and time allowed is looks
good.
fine.
Thomas Joffrey giving us our second clear and guaranteeing us a jump off here in the $50,000 Arion Sellers Grand Prix here at Wellington International. So joining Alison Robitaille in our jump off today.
That was a beautiful ride.
Next in, we welcome Jadana aboard Hitchcock de Dame. This is a 10-year-old gelding by Marius Claudius. This combination were second in a 5-star in Toronto this November.
Yeah, we saw this horse actually previously under Alberto Machon. And together with Jad, they were 4th also in the 3-star Welcome and Tryon this spring. You know, Jad spends a lot of his summers and springs here as well. During this time, they compete on the grass just down the road. He had some very successful classes there with a lot of his partners, a lot of his mounts. Opts for the 6 here. And then slows it down a little bit for the 8. So it'll be interesting to see if some of the riders caught on to do the 5 strides or the 6 strides here. Opts for the 5. Gets it done, no problem.
You can see he nearly came out a little bit from that oxer, and it made it fit in quite nicely.
Exactly, yeah. He caught a really nice one to the oxer. The horse landed quite far in on the 5 strides, and it worked out quite well for him. Really tones it down for this Liverpool oxer here.
Again, another Liverpool that's full of water that's glaring off the lights.
Gets away with a light rub at the last, but we see another clear round.
Really nice. They're giving us our 3rd clear for Jad Dana, joining Alison Robitaille and Thomas Joffrey, giving us our 3rd clear with 11 jumps so far. Next in, we will welcome Jessica Leto aboard Mistral. This is a 10-year-old gelding by Bingo van de Kappel.
Ooh, he got away with a good rub there. That was very lucky. You do need luck in this sport as well.
For sure. As long as the jumps stay up, that's the main priority.
Exactly. We saw Jess a lot this summer at Saugerties. She actually won a $75,000 National Grand Prix there at Hits Saugerties this August with this horse. This horse she's been slowly bringing up the ranks as kind of a second horse to her longtime partner, Simbura. And this horse has kind of already proven its worth of jumping a lot of good big classes, clear rounds. And again, I think just kind of showing it the ropes under some of the night classes, getting this horse kind of adjusted and used to seeing some of these fences. You know, jumping this class during the daytime versus jumping this same course at night is a completely different ride. So I think they're just kind of utilizing this class as well to kind of figure out what the schedule should be for them this circuit. Again, we see her opt for that 6 strides too. She did get a little bit stuck through that corner and had the front rail of the oxer.
But
we
as
haven't
you said,
seen this line much of a problem.
No, and as you said, some people coming in today to use it as experience for the season ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And again, under that oxer, you know, it's a very deceiving fence. There's a lot of gold looking across at the top bars of the oxer, but then down below, like we said for that Liverpool vertical, there's so much shimmer coming off the lights with the water underneath. And it's just a little bit, the horses don't quite see it until they're almost taking off or over top, and I think it just caught them by surprise.
Yeah, Jessica Leto just finishing up there on the 12 jumping false and 4 time false there in a time of 80.636. We have 3 clears so far. We welcome in our 13th in this class so far. That is Abigail McCardle aboard Olympia van den Eckenoff. This is a 10-year-old mare by Elvis Terpert.
Another rider that we saw a lot during the summer events, during those ESP shows, she had a lot of success there. She was also 3rd in the 3-star here in Wellington this November, as well as taking a 3rd place in the 3-star Grand Prix at the Split Rock Horse Show this fall. She thinks very highly of this horse. She said it's such a simple, such an easy horse to ride, such a smooth ride. You know, telling me earlier she got this horse as an 8-year-old, thinks the world of him. And actually, Taylor Land helped her find this horse. And I think her goals with this one is to hopefully jump a 5-star, possibly this upcoming circuit. And watching this horse go, you know, it just jumps everything so easy, makes everything look almost like an equitation round. Big stride, really covered the 5 no problem. She really did not panic for the 5, just let him naturally cover it. And this is actually quite a big and square oxer coming off a short turn and a little bit uphill, and she just catches the back rail. I was just going to say that I thought that actually walking the course, that looked like a very tall, stout oxer that didn't really seem to cause much problems for the first few. I think just maybe thinking of that short 4, wanted to kind of collect for the oxer. That was really a shame, and the horse jumped great.
Yeah, Abigail McCardle just finishing up there on that 4 jumping faults. Also picking up 1 time fault in a time of 77.190. So just our 3 clears so far. Alison Robitaille, Thomas Joffrey and Jad Donna being our 3 clears in the 13 that we have seen so far. Ali, overall, looking at the course, any lines that stick out to you? Anything that you think might cause an issue? And then just, you know, things that are causing an issue and just reasoning why you think why.
Yeah, I would say kind of that middle part like we were touching base on earlier. I think we might see some more 6s down that outside line to the double of verticals. Maybe that might help to figure it out. But that's definitely been posing a huge problem. I think that 4 stride might get a few more people. I thought that double the vertical oxer, red and white vertical oxer, was going to cause a little bit more issue leading up to that Liverpool vertical, and who knows, we're still early in the course.
Yeah, for sure. Next in we have Amanda Derbyshire aboard Zadora. This is an 11-year-old mare by Caval VDL.
Amanda has had a lot of great success with this horse already. She really stole the show at the Split Rock Horse Show in Aiken this November. She took 3rd place in the 2-star Grand Prix there with this horse. She also won the qualifier at that same show this November. Amanda, no stranger to the winner's circle. She's a fierce competitor, always finding kind of the next string of her horses, introducing them to circuit. So it's really fun to kind of see which ones she brings in next. Ooh, gets away with a light rub of that oxer and then kind of toes the skinny coming down. Just the horse has a huge stride, very boundy stride, just a tiny bit at the skinny black vertical, but again, it's so hard to see with the backdrop. Just under the time.
Yeah, just under the time there, time of 76.981, but Amanda just picking up that 4 jumping faults. And this is the line you were talking about, that double down to this, the big skinny vertical. Something that people have to look at, and, you know, coming off the corner by the ingot is also something people need to take into consideration.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you know, looking at it from the screen, it's very hard to tell, but there is a little pitch to this ring. You can definitely feel it when you're riding, coming uphill, going downhill, and I think Katsy really played along with that pitch. You know, some of the oxers coming off the short turns are going uphill. Same with that red and white double going uphill, and then kind of slowly, gradually taking you back downhill. And over time, as you're jumping around, you know, the horses also start to feel that and play into that as well.
Our 15 to go will be Antonia Martez aboard Valdez. This is a 11-year-old gelding out of Valenti.
Yeah, we've actually seen this horse with a few different riders. It's a great horse. We saw it previously with Matt Williams. Before that, Luke Jensen and Evan Coluccio. Great horse, had a lot of great results with all of these riders. This is, I believe, a newer ride for Antonio. It just takes that A element of the vertical that we were just talking about. Balances up for that white plank. Again, that white plank, so skinny on top. It blends in with what you were talking about previously, that all the white billboards with the advertisers around the arena. Just didn't quite roll back or rock back to jump out at B. And again, that line just kind of gets them rolling, and then you know, Katsi plays with a short line right after that, the very short 4, which we just saw. I think the horse just was still on such a big stride, just rolled off that top bar of that black skinny.
That's really something you were talking about earlier, how every jump is flowing from one to another. There's not much time to take a breath, regather yourself. You really have to just think about the next jump ahead of you.
Exactly, and she's constantly asking you to, you know, lengthen your stride here, shorten your stride here. You know, if you haven't quite practiced that or worked on that with your horse yet, that's just where the horse might get a little bit frustrated or still on the bigger stride when you're asking for the smaller stride. So it's really about a rideability type course.
Antonia just finishing up on that 12 jumping false. Next in, we welcome Adrian Sternlick aboard Kitana. This is a 9-year-old mare by Casalco out of Dalandara.
We've seen Adrian, you know, having a lot of horses bringing up through the ranks. And this is one of them, a younger one that she's kind of jumped around a lot, especially over in Europe. This horse is actually, we've seen previously with Bertram and Harry Allen. But with Adrian, she was 3rd in that 2-star Grand Prix at Old Salem this year in August. She did spend some time overseas as well. She has, you know, a lot of great horses, some big jumping horses. So right now, I think she's really just trying to figure out her next, you know, her 2nd string, 3rd string, who she might start bringing out for some of the 2 stars, 3 stars, maybe try to get a feel of her lineup for this circuit. This horse has just a huge jump, very rangy jump. A little bit of, you know, big stride, a little bit of a slower canter, so just always has to maybe think in the back of her head that time allowed, especially how much air time this horse gets. Hops for the 5, just kind of trusts the scope, and just tags that with the back feet, just tags the rail out of B. Came in a little bit too fluid, perhaps, to that double of verticals. And then pulls it together nicely for that 4 stride. And again, can't be overstated that Liverpool Oxer, it's just very hard for the horses to get their eye in the Liverpool until they're right up close under it. And again, the shade of the blue and with the water is constantly changing with the accent of the lights. So, you know, if a horse hasn't seen a Liverpool under the lights, it's very tricky.
It's a very different visual for the horses to see a water under the lights compared to, you know, a normal day of just jumping a water pool at home.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, coupled with the fact that, you know, she just jumped a Liverpool. Well, it was a Liverpool vertical, but it had a different color. So even playing with the color of the rails above it can have a huge factor as well.
Yeah, Adrian Sternlick just choosing to retire there aboard Caetana. We have our 3 clears so far. Alison Robitaille, Thomas Joffrey, and Jad Dana are 3 clears. Next in, we welcome our 17th in today's class. This is Leo Scrunchy aboard Puccina Van Orti. This is a 9-year-old gelding by Not and Stop.
We've seen this pair 2nd in the 135 jumper stake this year in Wellington. I think this is a newer face on the Prix circuit, which is always exciting. We love to see new people here, especially experiencing these night classes. And it kind of goes to show, you know, we talked about last week's class, and we see a few horses and riders overlap, but really not that many. And so it's very exciting to see the depth of horses and riders here that we haven't even started circuit yet. So just goes to show you how the strength in numbers, strength in horses and ability. And again, I think this horse probably hasn't really seen much of this ring. That double has a red plank right underneath it, which just encourages them to stare down. And I think just coming off of that type of a ride, it's just a little bit nervous tonight, looking at that Liverpool. Probably will save it for another day.
Yeah, just picking up the 2 stops there, so just being excused from the ring for Leo Scrunchy. Still holding on those 3 clear so far. We have 6 more before we will do our first drag break here in today's $50,000 Arion Sellier's National Grand Prix. Next in, we welcome Charlotte Babbitt aboard Vivian Blue PS. This is an 11-year-old mare by Vivant and out of Chicana.
We've seen this pair take a 3rd place actually in the World Equestrian Center Wilmington National Grand Prix this October. We've seen Charlotte out a little bit this past month, getting some experience under her belt, and especially with this horse. I believe she jumped actually last week's Grand Prix as well.
I think she was one of our clears.
Just taking her time rolling back here. Probably means she's going to have to be a little bit wary of that time allowed. And I would say, you know, walking last week's Grand Prix compared to this week, definitely a step up. To be expected. You know, you were jumping for, I think, 30,000 last week, jumping for 50,000 this week. You definitely see that in the type of course. You know, I believe this is the type of course that's we're going to, you know, that's going to be something that you'll see during circuit in some of these 2-star events even. You know, Katsy does a lot of FEI events. So she builds very, very tough tracks, and you're jumping in Wellington, so you're going to jump a very tough track regardless. So far, so looking great. Really giving encouragement. Just tags the back rail of that Liverpool. Again, I think the horse just looked down and didn't complete the jump. And that oxer actually has been posing more of a problem than kind of I originally thought it would.
I think it's definitely the look of the floodlights. It seems to be right over it. So having that glare on that water jump, just picking up the 4 jumping faults and 2 time faults there for Charlotte Babbitt in a time of 78.646.
So it really seems to be shaping up to be, you know, a course that deserves some respect. Needs to be figured out a little bit as your partner in the horse and rider combination, which numbers you should stick with. There's a lot of different options and opportunities for different numbers, again, depending on that horse, whether you have a big stride, smaller stride, or how you want to approach each fence. So it's very fun because you do get to see the partnership come out.
For sure. Our 19th into the ring today is Morgan Qualls aboard Favor de Amberville. This is a 9-year-old mare by Cap Kennedy. I think something we touched on last week is a lot of these horses, you know, with the horse industry, all the horses are a year older come January 1st, so it's definitely something people are looking at. A 9-year-old coming under the lights, and then in a couple of weeks it's a 10-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you know, 9-year-olds are still quite young, moving up to some of these rings. And again, 9-year-olds jumping some of the 140, 145s, no problem. Add a night class to the mix, jumping some of the 150s. That's just a huge, whole other ball game. And so you might not know what you have until you actually step into this class and do it. So, you know, kudos to a lot of these horse rider combinations, just wanting to figure out what their horse is made of, what they're made of, and kind of get to see maybe the near future of possibilities for jumping different classes. Got a little bit deep into the oxer, and I think just tagged it a little bit too long in that 5. We've seen, again, some horse rider combinations choosing for that short 6 strides. That's definitely an option, I think. Really balancing for that Liverpool oxer. Just rubs the back rail, falls a little bit late. Same idea, I think, just didn't quite finish the jump. Which, you know, is a little bit unique because the oxer is coming home. A lot of the horses do want to drag you down to that fence. So maybe just thinking of that front rail causes a little bit of a tag on the back rail.
Yeah, just picking up that 8 jumping faults and 1 time fault there. And that Palm Beach Sports Commission oxer with that water pool really seems to be our bogey fence in the course so far.
I totally agree.
Do you think it's to do with the, you know, as you said, it's kind of hard to see on live feed, but there is a slight angle to the ring and it floats down into it and people are kind of more encouraged to, you know, gather a bit of speed down to that oxer?
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think, just the contrasting colors of the very, very blue Liverpool coupled with kind of that yellowish hue or yellowish color of the poles, you almost just like look through the poles and just stare completely down at that Liverpool, versus the other fence has red poles. That's something for a horse to kind of see. The yellow, they don't quite see it, so their eyes just go directly down.
Our 20th into the ring today will be Olivia Sweetnam on Irondale Duflop. This is a 10-year-old mare by Vivaladi de Saguri.
This is a very new pair, very exciting pair. We've seen Olivia start to step up into some of these National Grand Prix this summer, where she won at least one of them in Kentucky with her great partner, OBS Quality. Or HPD Quality. This horse we've seen a lot with Shane. Shane has taken this horse all over the world, racked up tons of wins and placings. So this horse is definitely experienced, got a little bit stuck in that corner. Opts for the late 6, gets it done though. So this is definitely a new and exciting partnership to keep an eye on. She actually did win the 145 class earlier this week with this horse as well. So they're off to a good start. A very brave, bold gallop down to that Liverpool Oxer. But again, I'm sure this horse has seen stuff like that, so not a problem. And Olivia just kind of getting used to this horse, kind of the way it goes, especially during the night.
Yeah, Liv just coming home there with the 4 jumping faults in a time of 74.165. I think we talk a lot about the horse being under the lights, but it's also something for the riders to adjust to. I know Olivia, this is her second time under the lights. She jumped the under 25 finals here last year. So definitely something for both the rider and horse to get used to.
Exactly. And like we touched base on last week, walking the course, we walk it in sunlight, and then you get on your horse, you go and warm up, and all of a sudden it's nighttime. So what you walked on foot doesn't quite match up to what you enter with on the horse. So it is a little bit of it takes you back for a second. You have to really get back into focus. It's just a completely different visual when you're on the horse, and especially riding under the night sky instead of just a little bit of a dusk.
For sure, it's definitely something people have to adjust to. In the ring now we have Tony Stormans aboard Donjo Dashu. This is an 11-year-old gelding by Vigo CC.
Yeah, we've seen Tony start to move up to some of these bigger classes. At 16, he's still quite young. He's partnered with Donnie, had some great success with Donnie here. Took 3rd and 4th actually in the 150, 3-star in Saint-Tropez this year, as well as 9th in the $25,000 National Grand Prix during Holiday and Horses. So very young. I think, what did we say? He and Olivia, actually, who was just leaving the ring, are our 2 youngest riders of the class. So always exciting to see fresh young talent coming up the ranks. Getting great tutelage from his mother as well. Very neat rollback here. He knows that the horse spends a lot of time in the air, so has to think about that time allowed. Beautiful round.
Really nice there, Tony, giving us a clear in a time of 74.813, so giving us our 4th clear so far. He is joining Alison Robitaille, Thomas Joffrey, and Jadana, and Leah Scrinchi.
Yeah, I think he should be very excited about that. I know, talking to him this circuit, he was really looking forward to getting into some of those U25 classes. And especially with such a strong partnership that he has in Donnie, I think that they'll be able to jump right in. We have U25 during the circuit is a very, very strong class. A lot of riders, up to almost 60, I think we saw last year. So it's a very, very stiff competition.
It's exciting to see the young talent that's coming up and, going to show here and give everybody a little run for their money.
Very, very.
And next in, we welcome Maggie Jane aboard East Lily ODF. This is an 8-year-old mare by Chili Orzi. This is an American warm blood bred by Our Day Farms.
Yeah, so Our Day Farm has done some breeding, especially with some of their previous mares or sires. And so this one, actually, the sire of this one, Chill RZ, we've definitely heard and seen that name, especially with her brother, Charlie Jane. He rode to some very, very top placings in some big Grand Prix, rode on some Nations Cups. So the pedigree on this horse already is very strong. We saw this horse actually was circuit champion as a 6-year-old. Both actually Maggie had a baby, as well as this horse, Easter Lily, also had 2 babies. So she's a little bit, she doesn't even want to say behind the curve, but just she's a little bit further back maybe than some other horses. But really, I mean, you see her jumping already, these types of classes, jumping in such great form. And of course, you know, as a name of Easter Lily, this horse was actually born on Easter. Fun fact. We actually saw her jump last week. She had a great round, just a little bit of, I think she had one rail. Oh, shoot. I hope I didn't judge that. That was really too bad. That was a beautiful round. She should be super happy with that.
Just Maggie picking up that 4 false there at that last Oxer in today's class in a time of 76.3634. Overall, you know, a relatively young horse, an 8-year-old turning 9 in a couple of weeks, yes, but, you know, nice experience to get under the lights, very positive round.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for that age and having 2 babies, you know, that's a stellar round.
Really nice, just unfortunate with that last jump down. Next in, and our last before the drag break, will be Carla Mawhinney aboard Hallier. This is a 12-year-old mare by VDL Zuko Blue out of Golden Lee II.
Yeah, I think this is a new mount for her as well. We actually saw this horse previously under Lars Kirsten, who won the World Cup qualifier actually in Gothenburg this February. So it is very relatively new. Already strong partnership jumping in this night class. And again, you know, another partnership trying to kind of figure out the bells and whistles for a class such as this caliber. But already together, they were 3rd in the National Grand Prix in Saugerties this June. So she's definitely jumped this height for sure. Caroline already having a strong string of horses already. So adding this one to the mix, she's going to have, I think, a great circuit. And already this horse just looks very confident under the lights. Caroline just giving it a great ride. Very balanced into the one. The horse did a great job of measuring that one stride. They have a great partnership with trainer Jessica Mendoza. Just tags the back rail of the Oxer. That was really a shame. Maybe the horse didn't really get its eye on the back rail of the Oxer coming off the turn. Otherwise, jumping in great style. But Caroline and Jess having a great partnership, really kind of working with the horses together. You'll see Jess riding some of the horses, and then Caroline getting on for some of the other rides, and so they really kind of have a great teamwork, great partnership.
Yeah, Caroline just picking up that 4 jumping false and 2 time false there in a time of 78.843. That takes us to our drag break with our 4 clear so far. Alison Robitaille, Thomas Joffrey, Jad Donna, and Tony Stormans being our 4 clear so far in this $50,000 Arion Sellers Grand Prix. We're going to take a quick drag break here and give a surface a quick touch up, and then we'll be back in a few minutes.
Tonight's $50,000 Grand Prix sponsored by Arion Sellier. Discover Arion, authentic French saddles dedicated to the performance and freedom of the horse and riding. with Arion.
Experience the true essence of equine serenity at Zen Elite Equestrian Center. At Zen Elite, horses and humans come together in perfect harmony. Located near the winter horse capital of the world, Wellington, Florida, our center offers unrivaled amenities designed to elevate your equestrian experience. Our facilities boast 32 stalls, 20,000 square foot covered arena, and a large outdoor arena with ESI footing. From grass paddocks to a luxurious horse gym and spa, we cater to every aspect of your horse's well-being. With top trainers in dressage and jumping, Zen Elite is the perfect place to pursue your equestrian goals. Our soul-soothing surroundings nurture the mind, body, and spirit of both horse and rider. At Zen Elite Equestrian Center, equestrian dreams thrive. Discover the harmony of horse and rider at Zen Elite Equestrian Center. Your journey begins here.
My first goal when I decided to be a professional is to become the best horsewoman I can be. It's really important for me to find the balance with my family, with the horses, that is my passion. Work with the horses every day to do what I love. I used to have one passion was the horses, and now I have two with my daughter. So I really want to have this balance in my life. I'm Marie Ecart, I'm a professional show jumper representing France, and I'm Lola's mom. Be mindful, be present, turn on your brain.
Having been a rider and showing on the East Coast in the hunter jumper worlds on the A circuit, coupled with my experience as an insurance professional with 30 years in the industry, I'm the lucky one that gets to marry my career with my passion. And at Flagler, I get the resources that I really need to do my job as best as possible. I'm Missy Sullivan, the director of the equine division at Flagler Insurance, and I look forward to helping all of you with your insurance needs.
Welcome back to Wellington International. I'm Ellen Sweetnam and I'm here with Ali Wolf. We are halfway through our $50,000 Arion Sellier's Grand Prix here under the lights. This is our last Saturday Night Lights before the WEF season starts on January 1st. We have our 4 clear so far. Thomas Joffrey, Jad Dana, Alison Robitaille and Tony Stormans giving us our 4 clears as of now. Our first in after the drag break will be Andrew Wells aboard Ideal H&H. This is an 11-year-old gelding by Action Breaker out of Montana.
Andrew has definitely been a staple of the circuit. This is actually a longtime partner of his, so I think he's just kind of getting in the ring, using this class as a warm-up, especially for the night class. With this pair, though, they've been third in the 3-star Grand Prix in Wellington this November. And he's had this horse actually since he was 5. And again, like he was saying, just a warm-up kind of for that night class or the future night classes for upcoming circuit. He's planning, I know, to actually put this horse into that first night class, that first 3-star. I believe it's WEF 1 or 2. So I think we'll see that for a lot of people. He opts for the 6 there, gets away with a pretty substantial rub, and then balances for the 7. Really trying to come off that turn with pace. Like we've seen a lot of options of 5s and 6s. But again, he knows this horse so well. He was chose for the 5, no problem. Just nicely balancing for that uphill oxer. Same thing, very upright, tall, black, skinny. We've seen this Liverpool actually pose a little bit of a problem, especially the back rail. And then again, thinking of that time allowed, this so far has not really been much of a factor, this two-stride Liverpool, or excuse me, triple bar to the vertical. And then same thing, the last fence, we've not really seen so much come down, and that was a great, solid first round after the drag.
Yeah, Andrew giving us our first clear after the drag there, giving us our 5 clear into the jump off so far. Really made it look smoother on that course. Very easy in comparison to what others have found difficult so far tonight.
Exactly. It's going to be interesting to see maybe how many pairs we get through to the jump off. Thinking 8-ish? What's your guess?
I'm going to go with lucky number 10.
Okay.
I feel like 10 to 12 is a nice amount. We have our 4 clears from our 5 clears now, 4 from the first half. So it'll be interesting to see what the second half of our class does tonight.
For sure. And especially since I think it's pretty random order of go anyway.
For sure. In the ring now we have Genevieve Meyer aboard Coral Reef Tassilo. This is a 9-year-old gelding by Talax out of Contessa.
We've seen, actually, Genevieve spend some time in Europe this year. Get some tutelage under Helena Stormans. And, just gets a little bit deep. I think she was opting for the leave out to that plank. Again, that plank is so hard to see with the background of the white billboards. I don't think the horse really caught on that she wanted to leave it out and just kind of chipped that one in there. But had a really nice recovery. No problem in the 5-stride to the double of verticals. Gets away with a little bit of a light rub on the back rail as well as the skinny there. But this is actually a horse that hasn't really seen much of these types of classes. This is only the second time this horse has been under the lights. So she's really just going more for mileage, showing the horse the ropes, hopefully having a solid round, just like what she just put in. A very solid round. The horse is now getting some mileage under the lights, for sure to return.
Yeah, just picking up that 4 jumping false there and the 2 time false there for Genevieve Meyer.
That was really a shame, just a little bit of a miscommunication. But for a relatively green horse, I thought that was a very, very confident.
And she collected beautifully after it.
Exactly.
Didn't let it bother her, continued on really nicely. Next in, we welcome Alex Granado on his second mount. This is Rock de la Coste. This is an 8-year-old gelding by Rockland out of Bianca Norgard.
So again, we've seen Alex kind of starting to build up his string as well. Just retiring his really, really great older horse, Carlton W. He had so much success with that horse, so now he's just kind of trying to fill in the gaps a little bit. Has a few younger horses that look pretty promising. How unusual. It actually had the middle pull down instead of the top rail. So actually, he is still clear. That does not count as a fault, only if you knock over the top rail of an obstacle. Very interesting. I wonder what hit.
I think his shoe came flying off.
Okay.
I saw something flying in
Yeah,
the air,
I
and I
don't
think it was a shoe at a
yeah.
very force,
Well, hopefully
big
we'll
force
see
coming, having that down.
a replay of that. That's wow. Very exciting. Unfortunately does take the back rail. Again, we see so many issues coming off the turn. Again, for a green horse such as this horse, only 8 years old, really hasn't seen a lot of these types of questions throughout the course. But it's nice balance for that four stride. That four stride, we've seen a little bit of an issue. No problem for, that was me. That was me for sure. Spoke too soon. That Liverpool Oxer, for some reason, the back rail is just riding quite wide. Very far away. That was too bad because I thought overall actually a very solid round. We saw him last week. He had a great round, just 2 early fences down last week and then finished beautifully. And then same thing this week. Again, mileage, the horse is coming out even more confident.
Yeah, just picking up that 8 false there and 2-time false for Alex Granado. But as you said, a young mount, getting under the lights for the second time, was here with us last week. Constantly seems to getting smoother under the lights, learning, and then just progressing for the season ahead.
Exactly, and I almost want to think that was maybe the left front shoe, just like what you were saying. So again, another issue, losing a shoe on course, that could just be a different feeling for the horse, and maybe a little bit uneasy feeling in some of the turns, so that could have also been a factor.
Yeah, next in, I think this is Amira Ketna is in the ring now on Nashville Hero.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Amira a lot in some of the junior amateur ranks, especially with this horse. She was second in the 140 junior amateurs during the Holiday Inn horses. And actually, this horse we saw previously under Catherine Passmore and Kara Chad. 2 great riders that we've seen here in Wellington as well. And she did actually finish this year 7th in the individual finals for the juniors. Just rolls the top rail off that vertical, a very delicate vertical. Same thing with the plank. Those are 2 just very, very delicate fences back to back. We haven't, seen her so much in some of these bigger classes. So again, I'm sure just kind of getting the feel of these types of classes, especially the night class. This horse seemingly having no real problems with the course, really brave, taking her to the fences, really just about getting the feel and the ride of jumping under the lights. A little bit spooky to the Liverpool, but not a problem. Pulls it together. Gets a nice one into that 2 stride. And finishes out the 7 strides to the last fence.
Yeah, Amir just coming home there on that 12 jumping false. But as you said, a young rider coming under the lights for the first time or not that many times under the lights. It's a nice experience round.
Exactly. Nothing major happened, just a few light rubs. But overall, very solid round.
Next in, we welcome Will Martin aboard Record Kosal. This is a 19-year-old gelding by Quaprice Beau Margot out of Dancing Bride.
So we talked about some of the youngest riders in the class. I think we should touch base on some of the oldest horses in the class. The 20-year-old or coming 20-year-old horse, we've seen a lot of him. Such a great horse. We've seen a lot of riders have great success with this horse. Francis Darwin, Teddy Vlock, Emmanuel Andrade, Marky Blumen. So really, really exciting that this horse is still jumping and jumping in such great form at this age. Together, this pair was second in the U25 Grand Prix in Wellington this February. Again, a little bit of a miscalculation. You know, we talked about the options for lines. We could do the 6 strides, a very flowing 6 strides to that Liverpool vertical, and then a 7 strides around the bend to the plank. I think what's catching some of them off guard is there's a gazebo right in the middle of the way, so the riders can see that they're on the fluid 7 strides, but the horses really don't get their eye on the plank until they turn the corner. And that was really just a shame, because that just really threw him for a loop for a second, and then also tagged the front rail of that black oxer coming into the 4 strides. Horse still jumping amazing, looking amazing, and again, that I think speaks a lot, you know, to the program of the horse and really monitoring its classes and really keeping it happy, fresh, and fit like he looks.
Yeah, Will just coming home there with the 8 jumping faults and 3 time faults and a time of 79.293. As I said, just a bit of a miscommunication coming around that gazebo to that chest vertical.
Yeah, and again, now you get to see kind of the view that the horses get to see. As you see, like, the white kind of just blends in with that back, and it just takes them all by a little bit of surprise as soon as they get right up to it.
Yeah, next in, we welcome Celso Rani aboard Jib Van TNLZ. This is an 11-year-old gelding by James V.D. Cornscroft.
This pair we saw take third place in a National Grand Prix in Wellington this October. Celso having a few horses to compete with in this level. We saw this horse actually last week as well. Had a great ride. And again, just kind of getting back under the lights like we talked about a little bit last week. You know, during the summer time, we don't really see a lot of night classes. Not a lot of horse shows have lights or any night classes, so you know, it kind of almost takes you several months to get right back under the lights, and some of the horses that might still be so seasoned with the lights just takes them off by surprise. You know, we just saw the previous horse, older horse, he's been there, he's done that, he's seen the lights, but again, you know, it's just a different feeling coming off some of these summer events. Celso definitely having a really forward canter. This horse really likes to find the fences off that forward canter. Really comes back to him nicely. Big gallop to the Liverpool Oxer. I think he saw some horse rider combinations take a little bit of a look down there and just kind of tacked into the front rail. I think a little bit too much forward momentum there. Really pulls it together for that 2 stride. And still having to ride quite hard.
Yeah, Celso just finishing up on that 4 jumping falls there at the Palm Beach Sports Commission Oxer. We have seen 30 so far, and we have our 5 clears. Alison Robitaille, Thomas Joffrey, Jad Dana, Tony Stormans, and Andrew Wells being our only clear in the second half of the course so far.
Yeah, this is shaping up for a very exciting event. Again, like we just talked about, this is definitely not a giveaway course. She did a beautiful job with the course designing, fences coming here and there. Again, all it takes is just a little bit of a light rub here and there. Very, very delicate. Very uphill oxers, quite square, so it does take a lot of jumping.
We have about 15 left in the first round of this $50,000 Arion Sellier Grand Prix. Next in, we welcome Gazzola Busca aboard Verlando. This is a 14-year-old gelding by Verdi Tien out of Castella.
And Verlano actually was a previous ride of Juan Ortiz's. But this pair together took 5th place in the $20,000 Palm Beach Equine Clinic National Grand Prix this November. So again, getting into some of these bigger classes, these National Grand Prix, but now taking it a step further, getting under some of these under the lights night classes. Gonzalo has been a really strong rider for Stransky's Mission for a lot of their horses, given a great opportunity, had a lot of success, especially with some of these summer Grand Prix. Just tagged in, actually that's the first time we have seen that Kubota Oxer come down. I think got maybe a little bit deep into it. Got away with a light rub at A and B of the following double. And same, now we see that plank kind of coming into play more. I think that takes a lot of respect to jump. And also coming down at A. Again, that 5 just gets a little bit forward, coming into a very short double. Very short double of verticals. Gets the 4 done nicely. Really pushes across for that Liverpool oxer. And then just kind of takes a minute to regroup. Oh, and maybe just, we're pulling up. Just looks like he maybe stung himself or stepped on something. Just didn't look quite, oh, he lost a shoe. Well, that'll do it. Great horsemanship though for pulling up and feeling
Very
that.
good, yeah. Gonzalo choosing to retire there in today's $50,000 Arion Sellier's National Grand Prix here under the lights at Wellington International. Next in, we welcome Mark Blumen aboard SNL Marcana. This is a 10-year-old gelding by Lucky Du Reverdy out of Discovery.
Marky's had some great success over in Thermal. Won a big class there, popping back over to Wellington. Big jet setter these days, has a lot of horses in different areas, competing all across the country. Very exciting. Also a newer mount here. We've seen this horse actually previously with Philippe Lejeune, so we know it's had some great mileage with him. Again, like I said, a newer ride. Still trying to figure out maybe the bells and whistles, but just like Marky, going straight into it, no problem, and clears the double. You know, he's always going to keep trying to continue with the course, always a competitor. Now he knows that that cost him a little bit of time, so he's really trying to make up for it, and I think maybe just made up for it around the turn, cost him that front rail of that oxer. But this pair already has been third in a 3-star Grand Prix at Silo Ridge in the 145, or in the 145 class. And again, just like the others, you know, learning how to ride these types of horses, maybe under the lights, totally different feeling during the daytime. This horse has so much scope, has a lot of promise for the future, and then just finishing very just confident.
Yeah, Mark just coming home with the 12 jumping faults in a time of 76.615. Yeah, just coming around that corner, a little bit hesitant, but Mark doing a really good job of just getting him to go forward and clearing over that double.
That was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Next in, we welcome Eric Coet aboard Parabel Jammed.
We saw Eric a lot actually over in Langley this summer and fall, where he took 8th place in a 2-star Grand Prix this September in Langley, as well as the 7th in that 2-star Welcome that same week in Langley. So this pair are already getting well acquainted. You can really see him pushing probably for the time allowed. He kind of knows that he has to keep going. There's really not many places that you can take a half halt with a horse that has not that quick of a stride. You know, it is a quicker horse, but maybe a slower mover across the ground. Kind of really gearing up for this big oxer here, opting for the 5 stride and getting it done nicely. A little bit of a time saver here. Really studying that oxer, that black oxer, and pulling this together nicely for the 4. Strong ride to the Liverpool. Horse doesn't care about that Liverpool. That's not a problem like we've seen with some of the others. A little bit deep into that 2 stride. I think just cost him a little bit on the out. Had to stretch for that vertical. And that's actually the first time I think we've seen that vertical come down.
Yeah, just picking up the 4 false there in a time of 72.239 for Eric Coet. We still are holding on that 4 clears, 4 from the first half of our class, and then just Andrew Wellsbinger only in the second half of our $50,000 Arion Sellers National Grand Prix here at Wellington International. We have about 13 left to go. Richard Neal comes in next aboard Catmaco LS. This is a 13-year-old gelding by Crosso La Silly out of Armano LS.
We've definitely seen, Ricky's been a staple in Wellington International down here for many, many years. He's received a lot of training under Leslie Howard, as is Jad Dana. Really successful with this horse as well. He took second in the $10,000 140 stake in Wellington here in November. We actually saw this horse previously with Nick Delajoyo. Just lightly tags into that vertical. Again, we saw kind of how delicate and careful that vertical is, along with the plank after it. And opts for the 6, probably quite smart with a horse that can adjust that stride, but maybe doesn't get it quite done in time. Also has the front, or a element of the double of verticals. We saw Ricky actually last week as well. He also took 7th in the 4-star Grand Prix in Ocala, WEC Ocala this June. So again, jumping a lot with this horse, forming such a great partnership with this horse. Had a lot of success with this horse, just a few light rubs. And just maybe a little bit off balance to that last fence. The horse just kicks out both poles in that 13 element. Just looked like it shifted a little bit left and just maybe jumped off of not an even square hind legs.
Yeah, Richard Neal just picking up that 12 jumping faults. Still holding on that 5 clear so far. Andrew Wells being our only after the drag break. For our 4 before the drag break were Alison Robitaille, Thomas Joffrey, Jad Dana, and the young Tony Stormans. Next in, we welcome the USA's Charlie Jane aboard One and Only. This is a 10-year-old mare by Dictator out of Bellefleur.
So we just saw his sister previously before the drag break. Now we see the brother. How fun. One and Only, this is a horse that's actually quite near and dear to this family, Charlie and Nicole. Nicole actually rode this horse's mother. So that's just a very fun horse that they bred. It's really shaping up to be a nice horse. Had a lot of success. This horse's mom had a lot of success with Nicole a few years back. But together, actually, this pair was 4th in the 2-star Grand Prix in Tryon this July. And so Charlie just kind of moving this horse up the ranks, still relatively young. Nicely careful over the plank. We'll see what choice he decides to do. Gets quite deep, but moves up for the 5 and gets it done. Charlie is a very active rider. He'll definitely try and help the horses out when he can, and then leave them be. He's quite tall, but he kind of understands his height. Really soft on the horses, lets them kind of cover the ground. He's really known actually to ride some of the smallest horses in the class typically. Really giving her help out over A and B. Gets away with a really lucky rub. Fights hard for the oxer and nice clear.
Really nice there. Charlie Jane giving us our 2nd clear in the second half of this $50,000 Arion Sellers National Grand Prix. Giving us a clear in a time of 75.155. Seems very happy with that.
Very happy with that. Looked like he got a little bit of a workout, but a very well-deserved clear round. He really fought hard for that.
So giving us a total of our 6 clears so far. 2 after the drag break, and we had our 4 before our halfway drag break. Next in, we welcome Brittany Raffleritz aboard Simile F. This is a 13-year-old mare by Copyright C out of Brissa de Adil.
Yeah, so Brittany takes up the ride on this one from current owner Ashley Bond. And then previous to that, we actually saw both Niels and Lars Kirsten competing with this horse as well. Together, this pair were first in the $15,000 135 Grand Prix in Tryon this fall. So just getting to know each other, forming a partnership. Brittany really likes these kind of horses that fight a little bit or a little quick across the ground, but I think just got a little bit stuck in that corner turning back to the Kubota. That's the second time we saw that front rail come down. And again, just a little bit fighting with her just to kind of get her back in that 7 strides, and then a balance to that plank as well. Gets a nice jump in, opts for the 6, probably a smart move. This horse really has an adjustable canter. It can really come back really quickly. Just rolls a little bit out too far into that 4 strides. And again, I think Brittany's just trying to figure out the adjustability, how much to pull, how much to let go. This horse is really quick to respond. Goes in a hackamore, so we know that she's quite sensitive. But having no problems with the jumps really themselves, it's really the adjustability taking that last fence out as well. So just a few things to smooth out here and there, but overall, a horse very, very confident in this type of environment.
Yeah, Brittany coming home with that 16 jumping there. Next in, we welcome our first clear of our class so far. Alison Robitaille comes in on her second mount, Oakingham Lyra. This is a 11-year-old mare by Tornish 1042 out of Dame de Picta Satin. This is our first of 10 remaining in our $50,000 Arion Sellier National Grand Prix.
Alton already has formed such a great partnership with this horse. Very typey horse, very competitive. She's already been 4th in the Grand Prix in the 3-star in Socrates in July. She also won the Grand Prix qualifier this Tryon, that 2-star class in June. You know, Allison spends she balances her time a lot with her kids and her family, and really finds a really nice balance between the both. It's always really refreshing to see. Gives the horses a well-deserved break when she's doing that, and then comes back. So, you know, she just started back up in October. So she jumped a few, you know, easy classes, some 130s, some 140s, and then this kind of is her bigger class just to kind of get herself going again. Just comes a little bit into the front rail of that black oxer. And then again, we see another back rail of that Liverpool oxer as well. Just kind of clipped it behind. We're seeing a lot of horses maybe not finishing the jump over that oxer for some reason. But we will definitely see her back a lot for some of these FEI classes during circuit.
For sure, Alison just finishing up there on that 8 jumping falls on her second mount in today's National Grand Prix. She is already clear on her first mount, so we will be seeing her in the jump off of today's class. Just looking at that Palm Beach Sports Commission oxer, that's a 9th time for it to come down in today's class.
Wow. And the back rail especially.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it is something that the horses are looking at the water as they come over and they're not finishing their jump, or is it just something you're also coming into the corner of the ring?
Yeah, it would be very interesting to actually talk to the riders themselves, get an idea. You would think it would be the front rail, just with them looking down at the Liverpool and coming home. But really, they're really not finishing the back part of the oxer. So whether it's them just kind of looking at that Liverpool and just kind of skimming over the oxer, or whether the riders are just trying to balance the front rail and just coincidentally they just can't finish that second element with the hind feet. So it'd be interesting to talk to them.
For sure. Next in, we welcome Sarah Hubbard aboard Jeopardy. This is a 10-year-old gelding by Sendan out of Capril D.
Yeah, we saw Sarah actually jump in last week's night class as well. Getting some of these horses into these night classes. This horse actually previously seen under Richie Howley. I actually believe this horse jumped last week as well.
It did.
So it's fun to kind of see the progress of these horses jumping kind of back-to-back night classes. Opting for that short 6 strides into that very, very careful double. With this horse, though, she was actually 5th in the $25,000 as well as 5th in the $75,000 Grand Prix, both in Saugerties. Just fighting a little bit to get the horse back and balanced for that Liverpool Oxer, but so far having a clean slate leading up to that last line. Really fighting hard to add that 1 stride in. Gets away with a light rub at B. And fights to get over the last one. Oh! Oof.
Just outside the time fault there for Sarah Hubbard. Clear jumping, just 1 time fault there, and the time is 77.124. That our time allowed being set at 77 seconds. But overall, really positive. We saw this pair jump under the lights last week. Back to us again this week before the WEF season ahead. Just very unlucky on that 1 time fault.
Yeah, exactly. It really proved upon, she had a great round last week, little minor error, but really improved upon that on a tougher track. So it's just, I'm sure it's exciting as a rider yourself and for her, goes to show like how much your horse learned from 1 week to the next.
For sure. Next in, we welcome last week's winner, Michaela Langmeyer, aboard Chadina. This is a 11-year-old mare by Contaros out of Karawa.
Yeah, I think this is actually one of my picks as one to watch as well. You can never discount the hot streak of a winning rider.
For sure.
So winner from last week's night class Grand Prix. Oh, and I hope that wasn't me. Just a element comes down of this red double. She came in with a little bit of an angle, I think, just thinking of that time allowed. But again, this is a long-time partner of hers. She knows this horse quite well. She's had so much success with this horse. 4th in the 5-star 150 and the 145 in Toronto this November. She was also took 1st and 2nd, both in 2 classes in the 145 5 stars in Spruce. Clips on the back legs, that skinny as well. But like kind of what we were talking about previously, this is the first time this horse is out. So she's kind of utilizing this class more or less as a warm-up class. Doesn't really quite care, if she has a rail or so. Really wants the horse to just kind of get back into the ring, figure out what she needs to kind of improve upon or fitness-wise. But they've had so much success together.
Yeah, Michaela Langmeyer just picking up that 8 jumping faults. And as you were saying there, this class is really a mix of people coming under the lights for the first time, but also people coming in that are used to under the lights, horses that are used to being under the lights, but just gaining that experience before the WEF season ahead.
Yes, exactly. There's just such an array of, people coming in with having, things that they want to either improve upon or work upon or just kind of smooth out the king's rideability, etc.
For sure. Next in, we welcome Carla Mawhinney on her 2nd mount of tonight's class. This is Corsi Z. This is an 11-year-old gelding by Cartho Z out of Percy.
And we saw Caroline actually come in with a previous mount, so she's seen this course, kind of knows what to do in a sense, maybe where to save on the time allowed. This is always a fun horse for me to watch. I always love watching this one. Has a lot of character jumping, a lot of character going around. It is quite a strong horse, so she does have to wrestle with him here and there just to kind of fit those strides in, because he does have a big boundy stride, but at the same time quite careful over the fences. This pair actually took 4th in the 4-star 145 during Holiday in Horses. Opts for that 5 strides, like we just said, that this horse has such a big stride. But she's worked really hard on the rideability, making sure the horse can come back to her when she lets it out, just like it did there. Very, very easy 4. As we can kind of see, she's just trying to wrangle him back in. He has some other plans. She's just trying to keep a lid on it. Really fights to get that 2 stride, and then really, really fights to hold him back.
Oh, just outside the time allowed there. Carla Mawhinney going clear jumping just outside that time allowed there, and a time of 77.215. The time allowed being 77 seconds. But as you said, really beautiful round. You know, the horse's experience with her, their learning experience together. Just a very positive round for Under the Lights here.
Exactly, and I think this is going to be a really competitive horse for her. You know, like I said, she's worked really hard on getting that rideability under control so she can let him out. And like we just saw, you know, some of these big classes, there's just no room to have an additional half halt. So that's just kind of something that she'll have to kind of think of, maybe a tighter turn somewhere here and there, because she does have to keep holding him back.
For sure. Our first of 6 remaining in this first round is Diego Vero aboard Zillow Mystic Rose. This is an 11-year-old mare by Balou de Route.
Yeah, this is a newer ride for Diego. We actually saw this horse previously with Eduardo de Meneses, a very, very good rider. With him, they did the 4-Star Nations Cup in Wellington, actually, this past circuit. Huge. This horse has a huge jump. So he's going to really have to think about that time allowed. I think he's kind of trying to pick it up a little bit here. And just a very, very big horse, so we'll see if he decides to try and do the 5 here. Just a little bit of a late decision, possibly in the 6. And just gets a little bit deep underneath that A element, especially for such a rangy horse. Such a big, boundy stride. Really holding him back for this Liverpool here. Gives a rub on that back fence like we've seen come down a lot. A little bit deep into that 2 stride, but no problem, gets out. We're going to see him a little bit over the time as well.
Yeah, picking up that 4 jumping faults there and 2 time faults for Diego. Finishing there in a time of 78.960. Our first of 5 remaining in this $50,000 Arion Sellier's National Grand Prix is Kim Farlinger. She is aboard Aymara.
With Kim, we've actually seen her a lot also throughout the years here in Wellington. With this horse, she was actually 5th in the $50,000 Grand Prix during hits in September. She's had actually this horse since it was 8. Really has great things to say about this horse. She's competed in some of the Ocala night classes, but not so much the night classes down here. And we just actually saw a very late rail come at fence number 2. Have not seen that come down yet.
That's the first time it's come down so far, besides Alex Granado, but I guess we don't count that.
Yeah,
middle pole.
That was a middle pole. And we also see actually fence 4A come down as well. Just some newer fences kind of here and there, and again speaks to Katsy's course designing. A little bit deep in the oxer, opts for the 5 strides, and just clips A as a result of that. We've just seen that happen a little bit time and time again, and I think she's just opting to kind of save this horse for another day.
Yeah, it looks like Kim is choosing to retire there with a wave of the hand. But as you talk about there, I think nearly every single jump in this course has come down so far, so there's a testament to Katsy's building. That's a really good sign of a good course. It's not just a particular jump or a particular line causing issue, it's every jump in the course.
Yeah, and again, no major issues, just a light tap here or there, a little bit of a miscommunication here or there. So again, you know, this is a very jumpable course, but just very delicate, and it depends on how the rider approaches and decides on what distances and what numbers.
Yeah, our first of 4 remaining in this class is Amanda Derbyshire on her second mount today. This is Cornwall BH. This is a 16-year-old gelding out of Tessie.
Yeah, this is a great partnership we've seen throughout many circuits down here. Many, many wins. This, again, is another one of my picks that I feel like I'm jinxing this night, so I hope I don't jinx this one. They've been together for a very long time, and then before that, actually, we saw this horse with Shane Sweetnam have a lot of success. But with Amanda, she really swept the Split Rock Aiken Horse Show this year in November. She took first place in the 2-star Grand Prix there with this horse, as well as third in that same welcome class. And then before that, she was second in the Grand Prix in Tryon, that 2-star in October. So she's no stranger to the winner's circle, like we said, opting for that 6 and just gets it done a little bit too late. Has that front or that top pole of A and had a little bit of a light rub at B. And then just clips the front rail of the following oxer as well. And again, with a a long-term partnership like that, we see that back rail of that Liverpool oxer come down. But again, with this long-term partnership, I'm sure it's just utilizing this night class as a warm-up, letting the horse just make some mistakes if it wants to, saving this horse really, for some big jumping classes, possibly this circuit.
Yeah, Amanda just picking up that 12 jumping false and 4-time false there, giving her a total of 16 for Amanda Derbyshire and Cornwall BH. But as he said, Amanda's no stranger to this ring. We're just bringing the horses in before the season starts, getting some mileage in the ring, under the lights, in the stadium. It's always, it's all part of the WEF season ahead.
Exactly.
Next in, we welcome Adrian Sternlick on her second mount also. This is Comuna della Coccia. This is a 8-year-old mare by Cannon.
So another young horse that we see partnered tonight with Adrian. Same thing, utilizing this class, I think, for those youngsters. Kind of getting them under the lights, kind of gauging how they handle this environment for the circuit to come. And we've actually seen this horse previously with Your Own Double Dam. So has already had some great tutelage, as well as Harry Allen. So again, this horse really brought up correctly. But together we've seen Adrian actually spent a lot of time in Europe this summer. And together this partnership was second in a 1-star Grand Prix in Samorin. And they also took a first place as well in a 1-star Grand Prix in Amen. And we see again that red vertical with the Liverpool underneath come down. Just very, very careful. Opting for the 5, gets that done. Nice, easy 1. A little bit of a different ride than the previous horse that we saw with her. This one looking like a little bit a bigger, kind of rangier horse. Cantering right down in the 8 strides, a little bit of a leg. Sure, she's seen some of the previous horse rider combinations have a little bit of problem there. And then maybe opts to circle. Get that rideability back. Does have that front rail of that Liverpool coming down. And decides to continue and just kind of give this horse some more experience, more tutelage under the lights. Again, very young horse.
Yeah, Adrian just coming home there with that 12 jumping and 15 time faults. But as he said, a young horse, only 8, turning 9 in a couple of weeks, yes. But still, young horse. I know it won the 7-year-old finals at Lanaken with Harry Allen last year. So, still a young horse coming up the ranks and just Adrian building that relationship together.
Exactly, and she's really starting to develop the younger horses in her string, giving the older ones a little bit of time to rest and relax before we really gear up for some of these big jumping night classes.
Next in, our first of 3 remaining in this class, or first of 2 remaining, is Samuel Perot aboard Tiffany d'Auld. This is a 12-year-old mare by Hilpadam des Hertz out of Coco de Mals.
Yeah, and actually, this is one of my favorite horses to watch go around as well. Just a lot of character, you can tell through the jump. A little bit of, a different style of jumping. Really gets her withers up and over. Chestnut mare, of course, so, she's going to test you a little bit. And again, tags into that front top rail of that vertical in that double. We've seen that now actually come down a decent amount after the drag. But again, this pair has had a lot of success. 4th in the Grand Prix qualifier in Wellington during the 4-star. They also won a 3-star 145 welcome class during Split Rock in Kentucky. So again, we're definitely going to see a lot of this pair come circuit. And we have fences 9 and 10 both down. Maybe was a little bit far away from the distance at Oxer fence 9. And then just rolled that very, very delicate light skinny off. And same thing, I'm sure he's using this also as a warm-up. I'm definitely sure we're going to see a lot more of this pair.
Yeah, Samuel Pro just finishing up there on that 12 jumping falls in a time of 75.532.
I think that leaves one left.
Yeah, I think we have one left. Jens Philipsen should be our last in today on Ferrari VDL. Just waiting for him to finish up his warm-up before we finish our class today. Ali, overall, the course seems to, every single jump came down. That Palm Beach Sports Commission Oxer came down, I think, 11 times so far tonight. You know, the skinny vertical at 10 coming down 5 times. That Bainbridge first part of the double coming down 8 times. It really is a mixed course.
Yeah, and it's fun to see the statistics actually as well. But what I thought actually was very interesting was the first half of the class that we saw before the drag break. You know, we saw a lot of problems in that 5 to the 1 stride. Still a few problems after the drag break, but it almost seemed to be more different problems in the first half of the course, or the first half of the class, than the second half of the class. Second half of the class kind of had a little bit more scattered rails that we hadn't seen really come down much. So, just interesting stuff.
Yeah, good course building.
Very good.
Our last in today in this $50,000 Arion Sellers National Grand Prix will be Jens Philipsen aboard Ferrari VDL. This is a 13-year-old gelding by Candato 933 out of Pacific VDL.
And Ferrari we've seen actually previously under Simon Nisri and Katrin Eckermann as well. But together this pair was 8th in a 2-star Grand Prix in Traverse City this September. So again, we see kind of thinking about that time allowed, just constantly moving forward. And now we're really seeing that A element proving to be a factor. Again, it's very upright. Like I walked it, I thought it was going to be maybe more of a problem as it is showing up now. It's just so upright, going a little bit uphill. And then you have to kind of kick a little bit over a wider oxer coming out. And we see that A element come down to the double verticals once more. Such a tricky line down there. And again, maybe you have a plan to do the 5 strides, but you know, you might come see the distance to the oxer very, very short, and just in an instant you have to change your plan very quickly. Again, we see that back rail come down. That's another back rail of that Liverpool oxer come down. Takes a little bit of a wider turn to pull it together for that 2 stride, and then kind of pull it together for that last fence as well.
Yeah, Jens just finishing up there on that 12 jumping falls in a time of 75.464. As you said, this vertical coming into the double, I don't think it was an issue in the first half of the course, but we had 5 people have it down, so it's definitely something that as the course progressed and the rounds progressed, it was something that people, had down in the second half of the course, or the course.
Yeah, and I think, maybe just thinking already about the B element, trying to push for the B element before they just jumped fence A, and again, just so upright, so delicate.
Yeah, for sure. We have our 6 clears in this $50,000 Arion Sellers National Grand Prix. Alison Robitaille, Thomas Joffrey, Jad Donna, Tony Stormans, Andrew Wells, and Charlie Jane. We're going to have a quick touch-up of the surfaces before we come back for our jump-off. We'd like to say thank you to our sponsor of tonight's $50,000 National Grand Prix, Arion. Discover Arion, an authentic French saddles dedicated to performance and freedom of horse and rider. Arion's mission is to provide top customer service and abilities to create the most customizable saddles on the market. Learn more at arion-hst.com. Let your horse feel the difference with Arion. Thank you very much. We will be back for the jump off of this $50,000 Arion Sellers National Grand Prix.
In our soul-soothing surroundings that nurture the mind, body, and spirit of both horse and rider. Visit us on social media or at ZenEliteEquestrianCenter.com. And we're going to take somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes here between rounds at touch-up drag and adjusting the course for the jump-off as well. For our fans in attendance, we're bringing back the WeatherTech fan cam one more time. Direct your attention to the video board and scan the QR code for the selfie cam to go live here at Wellington International.
Located near the winter horse capital of the world, Wellington, Florida, our center offers unrivaled amenities designed to elevate your equestrian experience. Our facilities boast 32 stalls, 20,000 square foot covered arena, and a large outdoor arena with ESI footing. From grass paddocks to a luxurious horse gym and spa, we cater to every aspect of your horse's well-being. With top trainers in dressage and jumping, Zen Elite is the perfect place to pursue your equestrian goals. Our soul-soothing surroundings nurture the mind, body, and spirit of both horse and rider. At Zen Elite Equestrian Center, equestrian dreams thrive. Discover the harmony of horse and rider at Zen Elite Equestrian Center. Your journey begins here.
My first goal when I decided to be a professional, it's to become like the best horsewoman I can be. It's really important for me to find a balance with my family, with the horses, that is my passion. Work with the horses every day to do what I love. I used to have like one passion was the horses, and now I have two with my daughter. So I really want to have this balance in my life. I'm Marie Ecart, I'm a professional show jumper representing France, and I'm Lola's mom. Be mindful, be present, turn on your brain.
Having been a rider and showing on the East Coast in the Hunter Jumper Worlds on the A circuit, coupled with my experience as an insurance professional with 30 years in the industry, I'm the lucky one that gets to marry my career with my passion. And at Flagler, I get the resources that I really need to do my job as best as possible. I'm Missy Sullivan, the director of the equine division at Flagler Insurance, and I look forward to helping all of you with your insurance needs.
Those are just a couple of minutes away from the first of 6 on course in the jump-off round. We'll have Alison Robitaille back with Dagny. Thomas Joffrey aboard Thursday. Jacques Dana with Hitchcock des Rams. Tony Stormans aboard Don John Dachau. Andrew Wells with Idle H&H. And Charlie Jane aboard One and Only. The jump-off course description animation is sponsored by Palm Beach Sports Commission as we review the jump-off track for tonight's Arion Sellier Grand Prix. Beginning in the International Club side of the ring at the Zen Elite Equestrian Oxer with the Buddha wings at 15, not in play in round number 1. Landing from there, it's a right-handed turn to the Brain Java vertical beside the gazebo with the black wings and the multicolored rails.
Welcome back to our jump-off of this $50,000 Arion Sellier National Grand Prix here at Wellington International. We are bringing you the course animation here, kindly presented by Palm Beach Sports Commission. We will start over fence 15, which is a new jump in our jump-off, then followed by fence 16, also a new vertical in this class. Rolling back across the gazebo back to fence number 10. That vertical then coming to the Oxer at 17. This is our first part of our double from the first round that was a triple bar, now turned into a Oxer for the jump off class today. Then coming back to for A and B. That vertical there causing some issues in the second half of our first round. Then rolling back to our Oxer at 1. And then coming nicely across the ring to that Arion Sellier's vertical at number 2. Nice big vertical to finish off our jump off here in today's $50,000 Arion Sellier's National Grand Prix, our last under the lights here at Wellington International before the WEF season starts. We will have a total of 6 in this jump off class. I believe Alison Robitaille will be our first, and she is walking into the ring now.
Look, do you have picks for the jump off?
I think my pick, I'm gonna go with the young buck, Tony Stormans.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go with Allison.
Good. First in. That's your pick.
First in. Get it done. You don't have to watch anybody else. Stick to your plan, and let the others chase you. It proved pretty successful for Michaela last week, so we'll check it out.
True. First in. Put the pressure on.
So it's a really fun jump off, very windy, turny. We start off with that new fence, the Zen Oxer. And then if you want to count striding, maybe a 7 strides to back to the Brain Juice vertical. We'll check it out. Ops for the 8, it's a little bit slower, but you get a nice rollback around that gazebo, fighting her a little bit to just keep her restrained. Probably see a lot of 7s there. You do have to go around that Arion vertical as it is part of the jump off. Just fighting her a little bit to kind of maintain that balance. She really hops up in the air over that A and B element. Catches a nice left turn back to our original fence 1. Big gallop down to what is our original fence 2 in the first round.
Really nice there in our first in and our first double clear in a time of 41.605 for Alison Robitaille aboard Dagny.
So I'd say that looks a little bit beatable, but again, going first in, really your job is to put a decent clear round and let the others chase you. I thought there was no places that she really let her out or kind of let the control go. She was just very regulated, very controlled around the turns.
Yeah, our second in will be Thomas Joffrey aboard Thursday. Alison going in there and giving us a double clear, which is also very important in today's class. As you said, time maybe could be beaten, but it's very important to keep all those jumps up and keep that double clear.
Exactly. And, watching previous riders go before you, maybe that makes you try and change the plan. Also sticks on the 8. Very tidy around that gazebo back to that black skinny that we did see some issues with in the first round. Stays with the 7. I wonder if there's a 6 there. Maybe some big movers. Really hustles around the turn. Catches the nice one stride out of stride. Great roll back to that first fence. You see the 10 strides. Oh! Catches that last fence. What a heartbreaker.
Yeah, quicker, but just having that one fence down at a time of 37.474 for Thomas Joffrey. So about 4 seconds faster than Alison Robitaille, but picking up that last vertical.
Yeah, so we definitely see it's a beatable time. But again, she's making them chase. That was just really unfortunate. I think that's why the vertical is placed there as well. Just such a delicate vertical. Quite boring, really, to jump. And you want to try to race through the timers, but try to hold back that excitement to maintain the last rail up.
That's kind of the, a difficulty with having a vertical as your last jump in your jump off is you're inclined to come galloping to the last oxer to roll through those finishers. But, being a vertical, you have to be a little bit more careful and just take notice of it a little bit more than if it was an oxer there.
Exactly, yes.
Our third in to take on our jump off here is Jadana aboard Hitchcock de Dame. Jad, of course,
always known for his
very fast
speed.
Yes, for sure.
We'll see what he does in this first line. And that's your 7. I think there's definitely a 7 there for some other competitors probably watching him. He knows where to shave off the turns. Still opting for the cautious 7. I think he's already probably a little bit up on Tommy's time. Cautious into that A element. Again, we saw a lot of problems with that in the second half of the class. A little bit wider, rolling back to this original first fence. And then nicely balances to that number fence too.
Really nice there. Clear runner time of 37.699 for Jadana and Hitchcock de Dame. Slotting him into first place as of now. Just about 4 seconds faster than Alison Robitaille. He rode the last line beautiful, kept his canter really nicely, but just didn't gallop too much and kept the rhythm down to that big vertical.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, he was a tiny bit slower than Tommy. Maybe on that roll back to what was the original fence 1. Just maybe a little bit cautious now that he knew he jumped some of those more difficult parts clear.
For sure. Next in, we welcome Tony Stormans aboard de Jean de Chaux.
So we'll see if Tony's going to give it a go. Again, this horse, maybe not as quick as Jad's, but has a huge stride, and we'll kind of figure out if that's to his advantage.
Came's number 1 at that really nice angle to get that tight back to 2.
Did the 7 just like Jad. Spun really tight around the gazebo. That's the 6. Let's see if he can kind of make up that time. He has to be a little bit cautious here. We've seen that this is very delicate. And he could probably leave out a stride in this last line where others have been doing 10. And he does it.
Really nice there. Clear around there in a time of 37.326, putting Tony Stormans into the lead.
He got a very tight roll back to original fence 1. The horse was very, very good to really figure out his body and stretch across that.
Yeah, really, really nicely done, slotting him into the lead as of now. Jadana slotting into second, Alison Robitaille in third, and Thomas Joffrey in fourth on that 4 jumping false in the second round today.
Tony rode such a smart round for his horse. It's not as quick as Jad's across the ground, but he really utilized that stride.
For sure, really nicely done there by Tony Stormans. Next in, we welcome Andrew Wells aboard Ideal H&H.
So it'll be interesting to see, this horse also has a big stride, not as big as Tony's, but we'll see kind of where Andrew thinks he can maybe make up. That's going to be a really hard one to beat. I mean, the only thing I would say is kind of foot speed across the ground with some of those leave outs. 4, 5, that's 7. Cruises around. It's a good one back on the gazebo. A little bit waiting. Opts for the 7. Tony was pretty tight back here. Got a good one in, and then Tony was very tight rolling back. I think already looking a little bit slower, and that's a little bit this distance that Tony found, but his horse was able to kind of shape around it. With such a tight roll back, again, the horse maybe didn't have the balance and really see through the turn to kind of measure that oxer there.
Yeah, Andrew just picking up the 4 false there with idle H&H in a time of 38.530. Slotting him into 5th place as of now. Tony Storman still up on top with that leading time in a time of 37.326.
Charlie always going to give it a go. You know, this is a little bit of a younger horse, a little bit of inexperienced at this level, and especially under the lights. But I would have to say that Charlie is definitely going to try and go for this one. You know, with 6 being clear in the first round, you know that you're going to get a check. You know you're going to get a ribbon. So why not see what you got?
For sure. It's definitely worth the shot.
Getting a good wind, a good ankle. Easy in the 7. Really fighting to get that turn. Really bounces for the skinny. Decides for the 7. Super tighty. Really has to kind of take it easy a little bit here. Great roll back to that 1 stride. Keep it moving, Charlie. Really galloping. Does he have it? He has it.
There we go.
He did it.
Charlie J takes over the lead and is our winner in tonight's $50,000 Arion Sellier National Grand Prix in a time of 36.714.
How cool. That was a very exciting jump off. You have a very young rider mixed with a very seasoned rider, but with a very green horse. That's always a fun combination. Tony gave it such a go. Really, really well deserved 2nd place there. But Charlie just edged him out. I mean, look at him galloping to that last. You know, this horse too is a little bit deceiving. It's a little bit of a slower horse across the ground, but really, really covers ground and turns great. This horse is really shaping up to be a nice combination, a nice pair for Charlie.
Yeah, really nice there for Charlie Jane being our winners in tonight's class. Tony Stormans will take 2nd, Jadana in 3rd, Alison Robitaille in 4th, Thomas Joffrey in 5th, Andrew Wells finish up in 6th. And then some of our one-time falters from the first round. Sarah Hubbard is our fastest one-time falter, finishing up in 7th. Carla Mawhinney also finishing on time fault in 8th. And that was our lineup of today's class. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight in the $50,000 Arion Sellier National Grand Prix here at Wellington International. Closing out our season here before we head into WEF 2025. 2025. We'd like to say thank you to Arion for their sponsorship of today's class. Discover Arion, an authentic French saddles dedicated to performance and freedom of horse and rider. Arion's mission is to provide top customer service and the ability to create the most customizable saddles on the market. Learn more at arionhst.com. Let your horse feel a difference with Arion. I think we're going to have a quick look over our winning round tonight, just as we're getting set up for the presentation. Really exciting Holiday and Horses series here at Wellington International. We've had, a few under the lights, which is nice for riders to come in under the lights before the season ahead, before WEF 2025.
Yeah, it really gives us a great preview of some of those horse rider combinations to watch out for. For sure, Charlie and One and Only. Great name. He really got a great slice there. And, you can see he's not even looking like he's really racing, but this horse covers so much ground. And then he really takes his time. He's patient. So he did the 7 where Tony did 6 strides there. Charlie was very quick, as was Tony, to kind of get up and into this double. One and Only was so spectacular, really getting careful through that double for him. And he had such a great roll back. Gets away with a little bit of a lucky rub on that back rail. gallops to the last fence, and then just kind of takes his time over the last, really gallops through the timers. Maybe that's where you got it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's nice to see Charlie trusting his horse so much, galloping down to a vertical. As we were saying, you have to be a little bit careful of that vertical, but Charlie really trusting his horse to come down to that vertical and jump clean over it.
Yeah, and look how excited and happy he was. I'm sure he's thrilled. I'm sure his wife Nicole is thrilled, as that is their baby, their homebred horse from her previous mount as well. Very exciting for the family. Just a very exciting class overall. Great for Tony as well. Such one of the youngest in the classes to be second place in a very competitive field. And always exciting for these types of classes, these earlier pre-circuit night classes, some of these national classes. You really get to see such a culmination of a unique, vast array of horses as well as riders from all different areas come together, and some excitement for what is to come for circuit.
Yeah, for sure. Very exciting class here for the $50,000 Arion Sellier National Grand Prix here at Wellington International, our last under the lights of 2024. So from everybody at Wellington International, we would like to wish you all happy holidays. I am Ellen Sweetnam, and I was joined here with Ali Wolf for tonight's class. Thank you, Ali, for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
We will see you all in WEF 2025. Thank you so much.